all about home ownership. There's nothing like home ownership.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me emotional. Hi, welcome to Real Talk with Marty Rodriguez and my host, Isait de la Fuente.
Hi, everyone.
We're excited to be here today to share some more information, and hopefully you'll find some benefits of what we have to tell you today about becoming a homeowner.
Yeah, so Marty, what is it that holds buyers back or people from buying a home?
I think what holds buyers back in today's market is probably they think that their interest rates are high, but really they're not, okay? Because rates have been as high as 18% in the 1980s, you know, and I remember buying houses at 10 and 12%. And one thing I can tell you is I own a house in San Dimas I bought in 1989 for $125,000. Today, it's probably worth $950,000. I could have never saved that much money. $125,000 in 1989 seemed like a lot of money and a big stretch at the time. So you just have to jump into the market so that you will become a homeowner. Because being a homeowner gives you security, it gives you stability. So don't focus on the interest rate. Focus on the fact if you can afford the payment, get into the house as soon as you can, because we do have a shortage of inventory.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a fact.
As you can see, and that's a fact. And I don't see that changing for a long time. So people say, I'm waiting for the market to drop. It's not dropping. This is the market. So you just have to adjust to the market conditions, adjust to the interest rates that they are today, and they're fluctuating from 0.5% to 0.25%. So they're going up and down, and now we're basically in the sixes. And what's nice is that a lot of the lenders, if you buy now and the rate goes down, they'll do what's called a streamline and refinance you at no cost. So you'll be able to get the lower interest rate, at a later date.
Yeah,
so,
no, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So because we get this a lot, right? When buyers, they'll tell us, well, I don't know if it's the right time to buy because the rates are too high, or there's going to be a crash. They think that the market's going to come down the moment they buy and all that. Do you foresee any of that happening?
Not at all, because I started in 1978. Okay, when I started in 1978, and then I remember the market capping off in 1989, and so it went from 78 to 89. In 89, the rates were probably about I think 12%, but then in 89, the market took a dive to 1997. So here you are down in 97, okay? But remember, I bought that house in San Dimas in 89 for $125. So the market dipped in 1997, and then the market started to climb back up, propelled by stated income loans. That means buyers were getting loans that they didn't have to qualify for. Mm-hmm. So in 2007, the market dipped again to 2012. So in 2012, the market came back up. So you can see real estate is still a great investment. You see, even though the markets have gone up and down, the price of real estate is still up. I bought a house, a second home that I own in Newport Beach. I bought it for $725,000 in the year 2000. 24 years later, that house is worth $3.5 million. I could have never saved that kind of money.
Yeah.
So everything we've done, it's been in real estate. And and at that time when I bought that house, I sold 3 properties. I did a 1031 exchange because they were investment at the time, and I exchanged 3 properties into the 1 property. So you see, all these things I'm telling you, these prices seem like they're too high to you now, but 20 years from now, you're going to say, I wish I would have bought that house 20 years ago.
Yeah. But we're not seeing anything that really will impact in the near future, well, that will impact the market where the prices will come down, right? So for example, you talked about there's low inventory.
Yes.
Right? We're not necessarily seeing enough houses coming onto the market that will impact prices, at least help them come down, right? That's not what we're seeing.
No, because it's the law of supply and demand.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
We don't have the supply, we have the demand, so that's going to hold the price of real estate, pretty steady, and in some areas, going up.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Just get into the market. if you can afford it. I mean, there's a lot of programs for first-time buyers. In fact, the Dream for All program is coming, where the state of California is going to be putting up 20% of the down payment. They will own 20% of the property, but it's still better for people who are renting who can't afford to buy a house now. So, and that will be a lottery. So the one thing you have to do, you have to find yourself a really good lender. You know, we work with the 5 or 6 different lenders that we totally trust, that can coach our clients through to get them into the right programs, because not all lenders know and understand first-time home buyer programs, nor do they want to do them. So we want to make sure that if you're a first-time buyer, that we can direct you to the right lender that's going to help you and help you understand and get you into that first-time home.
No, it's. I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually just had a conversation with one of my buyers about this, and we were going over the numbers, right? Because the Dream for All, they're going to provide either 20% or up to $150,000, whichever one is the lowest of the two. And if you calculate a payment, because in that amount of money, there's no monthly payment that's going to be required, right?
Right.
No monthly payment, and it's at 0 interest. Now, if you calculate in today's interest rate, today's interest rate, that amount, it adds up to roughly about $1,000 in payment a month, as a monthly payment. Now, if you don't have to make a monthly payment on that, that's savings in your pocket. So, for example, in 5 years from now, that can add up to about $60,000 that you're saving by getting that assistance from the state.
Right.
Of up to, say, for example, $150,000, because you're not making that payment on a monthly basis. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it helps you get into the house, but it also helps you save money on a monthly basis, which at the end is really what, you know.
And you become a homeowner, and eventually you can, you know, buy the state out of their 20%, and now you own your own homes, you know, as your income increases. So it's a great deal if you're able to get qualified and you get to picked in that lottery. So that's kind of exciting news. But again, there's, you know, other programs. Buyers think that, you know, they have to come up with a big down payment, but no, there's programs that you can come in with, you know, 3.5% down, FHA programs. So like I said, we just need to connect you with the right lender who's going to educate you and lay out all the programs that are available to you.
Yeah, and I mean, so for any of you that are concerned or worried about not having enough money saved for a down payment for a house, don't be. There are programs out there available for you that can help you with that, whether it's down payment assistance programs or just very low down payment requirements. There's programs out there available for you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you brought, because there's other even with the cow heifer that you brought up. It's not just the Dream for All program, right? Which I think they're going to launch it sometime in April. I think it's the registration.
It's coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, but there's also their standard program, which can provide, you know, maybe an amount of about 5% of the purchase price is roughly what it adds up to, give or take. It's not the 20%, but it's still a lot of money to come in. You know, 5% of a purchase price is still a really good amount of money just to help you get into the house. So there's other programs out there, I guess, is really what I wanted to say. So,
and you know, you just got to find the right agent who's going to walk you through the purchase, walk you through the financing, walk you through the purchase, make sure that you understand, you know, the house that you're buying, that you do all the inspections. You know, when we sell a house, we want to make sure that that buyer is aware of everything that is possibly wrong with this house, because if he doesn't have the money to fix it, that's going to put him in a worse position. I had one of my clients actually called me. He found a house out in Ontario, and it was a flip. So it looked really pretty on the outside, right? But when we did the inspection, there was major electrical, major plumbing problems, sewer problems. So even though they were willing to give us a little bit of credit, it was not enough credit for all the work that this house needed. So it was kind of like lipstick on a pig. You know, it looked great on the outside, but it was ugly on the inside, and we ended up canceling. And you know, that's and I felt good about that, you know, because I was able to bring in all the right professionals to do all the inspections. And then my client said, "Oh my God, I almost got myself in a mess if you would have bought that house." And he would have known it had I not done those proper inspections.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's key.
Yeah, it's key.
It
And like
really
I said,
is.
having a good agent that's going to look out for you. And you know what? And even even as a listing agent, we try to. I can pretty much tell if there's anything wrong with the house. I order my termite inspections right away. If there's work that needs to be done, we'll get the contractors in to either fix the house up, so that we're not dealing with these issues when we're negotiating.
Yeah.
Or if I already know something's wrong with that, I'm going to disclose to the buyer and I'm going to say, hey, this doesn't work or that doesn't work, and the seller doesn't want to fix it. So the buyer's aware of what they're buying.
Yeah.
Because you want to make it a win-win situation for everyone. I don't want to get my seller to get sued, and I don't want the buyer to be taken advantage of. It's got to be a win-win for everybody here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what I'm getting out of all of this is, with the right agent, you will be protected, and also you'll be aware of all the different programs and stuff that's out there available to you as well. So it's key to have the right agent working for you.
Right. And like I said, and the agent that has all the resources to make sure that as a buyer, you inspect that properly thoroughly from the top of the roof down to the sewer line.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so going back to why some people might, hesitate on buying a house, right? We kind of touched on a little bit on the interest rates. And I think right now, there's still concern with people, well, the rates are too high and they want to wait until they come down and whatnot.
But what happens when they come down, now you're going to have more buyers trying to buy that house.
Yes.
So now you've got more competition and probably paying a higher price. So are you really going to be saving?
Exactly.
So just buy now. If the rate comes down, then do a streamline and refinance it, and refinance the rate down.
And that's great. It's a great point, because so in today's market, right, rates are where they're at right now, right? And if you can buy right now and the rates come down later on in the year, for example, the great thing about already owning the house is you don't have to compete against other buyers where you're going to have to overbid and overpay for the house. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is basically refinance into the lower rate at that, whatever that rate is, bring down your payment, and you're not competing against anybody else for that house because you already own it. It's your house already. Right. So
and actually, and right now there's competition for the lower the price range, the more competition there is. So you still have in our area here, probably if you're under 900,000, down to 500,000, you're looking at a lot of competition. But it's okay if you have a good agent and you have a good lender and you have good representation, you're going to have a better chance to get that property as well.
Yeah, you're talking pretty much about the entry level type of home.
Entry
maybe, for
levels,
example.
yes.
Yeah, because that's where most of the competition is.
Yeah, and we're in LA County, so the majority of our business is out in the San Gabriel Valley, San Bernardino area, Inland Empire. So.
Yeah, and so do you see? I mean, we touched a little bit about inventory, but do you see inventory increasing anytime soon, sometime this year?
Well, what's really funny, Shelly, my daughter, did those stats for us the other day, and she said, "Do you think there were more sales last year or in 2022 or 2023?" And actually, there were more sales in 2023. So the thing is that there are properties coming on the market, and what's happening, they're selling as fast as they're coming on. So you have the inventory. It's just the inventory is moving very quickly, you know. So that's what you've got to be looking at.
Yeah, and so I mean, obviously, right now it's still considered a seller's market, right?
It's still considered a seller's market from what I can see. I've just put a couple transactions together yesterday and today, so definitely, and both of those properties are going over the asking price. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Yeah.
So, and what would you say to people out there that are thinking about maybe buying a house, but they're worried about all the things that we're talking about, right? We're talking about the interest rates are high or pricing is high. There's low inventory. Those are all real fears that people have out there as they're thinking about maybe buying a house, maybe not. They're sitting at their dinner table talking to their spouse, weighing their options. Should they keep renting or buy? How does it all make sense to purchase? I mean, what other benefits, I guess, can a home buyer have besides, just the equity that will be built? I mean, there's also maybe, the tax.
You're going to write off your property taxes.
Stuff too,
You're going to write off your interest rate. The interest that you pay on the loan. So in effect, for example, if you have a $4,500 payment, in effect, you're not really paying $4,500 because you're writing off the interest and you're writing off the property taxes. So maybe it's closer to a $3,000 payment at the end of the day. So, and the lender will be able to do those calculations for you as well. And, you know, you can't be afraid of the market. You know, if you're going to be afraid of every market, there's always going to be, you can always find a reason not to buy. But, you know, we need to find the reason to buy to become a homeowner. You know, remember, I was that kid in 1989 buying those houses thinking, I don't know if I can afford this. It's a lot of money, right? But look at how much I've made in equity. That house I bought in Newport in 2000, you know, and I could have never saved that much money. So if I needed to sell them, I would have all that money in savings, even if I had to pay Uncle Sam money. So you got to look at it that way. And not only that, you know, one day when you go to retire and you've owned your home for all these years and it's paid off or almost paid off, it makes it nice and comfortable for you to retire without a lot of expense. Or you buy down and you buy something free and clear and you have no house payment. So it's...
Well, and then again, but there's ways to leverage once you're a homeowner, there's ways to leverage your home to help work for you, right? As an example, you mentioned like when you retire and whatnot, there's also programs out there where you can leverage the equity of your home to help you live in your home for no monthly payment at all. For example, a reverse mortgage. Not to get too deep into that, but once you become a homeowner, there's so many different ways to leverage it. And I just wanted to bring that up because like even when the time comes that you retire and you want to look for ways to free up some money because you're in a fixed income or whatnot, you own your property. You can leverage it to something that's called a reverse mortgage.
Yeah, reverse mortgage.
Or there's other type of things that you can also do.
I think people that really don't have kids, they're okay with the reverse mortgage. But I know a lot of people when they have kids, they want to leave them something. But you know what? You're going to have your house, and if it's paid for, you can leave them the house, and you will live comfortably because hopefully you get to the point where your house is almost paid off, and now you can nobody's going to raise your rent and nobody's going to tell you have to move. Yeah. Like we talked about your friend on our last podcast, 75 years old, doesn't own a house and they're kicking him out of his rental. We feel so bad for him.
He was paying $1,700 a month. He was living there for over 20 years.
Wow.
And he had to move into a new rental property, which is now $3,500 a month. And
see, if you would have bought a house a long, long time ago, how many, 30 years ago, it'd already be paid for, and he could be living probably for free, just the taxes.
Yeah, but I think maybe one of these episodes we should probably have a lender as a guest to just talk to us a little bit about reverse mortgages as well,
or just lending in general. I think that would be a good idea.
Just because I remember one of them was talking to me about, and we were talking about how the parents want to leave the equity to their kids and whatnot, and there's also so many ways that they can leave money for their kids, where they free up the payment of the house and use some of that to maybe a life insurance or another put that money into an investment account or whatever that can actually give them some money. But not to get too much into that. That's maybe for another episode. But we should definitely have a lender comes with us one of these days.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, yeah. So and again, I'm just kind of thinking about what I hear out there as I'm showing houses and I'm talking to potential buyers and what their real fears are and whatnot, and You talked a little bit about the competition of any specific house, right? And having to maybe pay a little bit more than what you want and whatnot. Do you see that continuing throughout this year, where people?
Yes, in fact, I have clients that called me on a house that they want to offer on, and it's listed at $1.2 million, and we're looking at how much over we're going to go, which will probably be $100,000 to $200,000 over the asking price. Okay, because where they want to live, there's not a lot of houses in that area, and they want to live in that neighborhood. And I personally think it's probably a little bit under. So they want it. So we're going to decide by Monday how much over we're going to go, but it'll definitely be $100,000 over the asking price. And then I just sold even 3 units in Covina. I just opened escrow today. At $1,495,000, and I'm in escrow at $1,550,000 cash. Yeah. So it's gone over, but Yeah, you're still, you know what? And it depends on the house, because if the houses are really, really nice, or the location is really, really great, then buyers are going to, pay over. So you want to also consult with your agent to make sure that, that you're offering the right price. And, if you can afford to go over, and if you can afford to pay over without an appraisal contingency, because that means then you're going to have the additional cash to pay above the appraised value. For example, if the bank says it's worth $750 and you're coming in with minimum down and you're offering $800, you've got to have $50,000 in the bank to pay over the appraised value. And as a listing agent is going to want to see those bank accounts to make sure you have that money if you make that offer. Yeah. So, but I had one in Covina. Well, actually, the one that you sold, what did we sell it? Like 10,000 over the asking. So it wasn't a whole lot, but that was a nice house, and
great house. And they're very happy. Oh, yes. They're so happy.
And you just closed on Friday, so yep. Yeah. And that was awesome, because it was, how many people bought that house?
3.
Yeah, 3 people got together to buy the house, and now they're homeowners, and they're so excited.
It's 2 sisters, and one of the sisters, her spouse, her husband.
Oh, really? Yeah.
They bought it together.
Yeah. So see, now they're homeowners. They'll start building equity, and if they decide to split up one day, one will take their half, and the other will take the other half, or they'll buy each other out. But at least they now own their own home, which is exciting.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great when you get to deliver the keys and you celebrate with them, and
and it was actually my listing. So I had my sellers. We painted the inside, the outside. We put in new carpet, new flooring, and we put in new lighting. So it was nice, because those are the things that I do as a listing agent to also get the house ready to be sold, so it can look in tip-top condition.
And Marty, so. For anybody that's out there that's thinking about buying a house and they're concerned, they don't know where to start, they don't know if it's the right time for you, if it's the right move for them, do you have any advice for them as far as like where should they start? How should they start?
You know what? I think we should always sit down and do a buyer consultation. Let's do all the homework first. Sit down with the lender. Let's get you pre-approved. Let's see what you qualify for, and then to see if you're comfortable with the payments. So that's the first place you're going to start is to get pre-approved, and then sit down with one of the agents and look and see what can they buy for what they qualify for, and is that going to work for them, and in the right depending on where they want to live and what city as well, because prices vary from city to city.
Yeah, no, it really is the right first step. And I know a lot of people say it and a lot of people talk about it and all that, but it really is so important that you start with sitting down with an agent and doing a buyer's consultation, so that you can also understand the process, the buying process from A to Z. And you'll know what to expect. You'll have the expectations from when you get your approval. Okay, what is next? Now let's start identifying what price point from that approval do you want to go at, do you want to purchase at. Then start doing the home search, now writing an offer. What does an offer look like? Then the seller counters, how does the counter look? What am I going to review? All those things. It's really important to go over all of that at a buyer's consultation, so that when you go out in the market, you're well informed and you have a plan in place, and you're just ready. It's just a lot less stressful.
Yeah, and you've done all your homework, and you say, okay, I'm ready, or I'm not ready. I need a few more months. Whatever the situation might be for you. But I think you need to start somewhere. Even if you're not ready to buy now, I think it's a good idea to consult with agent and their lender and see how soon we can get you into a property.
Yeah, I think it takes about, on average, probably about 6 or so months for somebody to purchase, right? Or from the moment they decide that they want to buy to possibly get into a home. Is that roughly?
Well, you know what? It really depends. I mean, if you're pre-approved now and you want to start looking now, you might find a home within a month, but then you might not find it for 6 months.
But
so it just depends.
Yeah, no, and it depends. But somebody who is maybe just thinking about it, maybe they haven't gotten approved yet. They're just thinking about it. And it's like, okay, well, get to sit down with an agent, talk about a buyer's consultation. From that point, it might take a couple months. It might take a few months. So it's not going to happen overnight unless you're ready to go in right there on the spot. Right. But for the most part, it's going to take a while. So it's a process. And I think the earlier that you can have that conversation with an agent and do the buyer's consultation, the better, because you're going to be able to identify anything that you need to make, any arrangements, any changes or adjustments that you need to make in your finances, or just anything, just to get yourself to that point to be ready for when that time comes.
And you know what, like a good example, like these kids I'm working with that we're going to write this off for a couple, maybe 100,000 over, maybe two, I don't know. But so she goes, would I have a better chance to if I bought it cash? So we're actually going to structure a cash offer. Her parents are going to, the parents will help them, and then they can refinance later. But see, we're doing all our homework now because I know what to expect, and I know what they're going to need to do to get that house. So we've done our homework. We're putting everything together, and I've even called the insurance people because they're in a high fire zone, and we have to worry about insurance now to make sure that the buyer is going to get the insurance because they are more expensive in a high fire zone. So I'm just doing all my homework, and Monday I'll be ready to go.
Good.
And I'll have all my supporting documentation to make them look as strong as possible. But that's why you do homework first and make sure you've got everything that you need.
That's really, really important. If I can just share really quickly an experience that I just had in one of my listings, right? An offer that came in, the loan for the buyer, it's a non-traditional loan. And it had to do with several different factors, rental income and whatnot, that when I saw it, I asked the agent and their lender, had they calculated all the other numbers, the rental income and all that, to see if it all makes sense. And they had not. So, and I only bring that up because
you know what? That's just a bad that's a bad agent and a bad lender.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because they had this buyer looking at homes at this price point in this specific area where the numbers just don't make sense.
Right.
Right. And I only say that to say that it is really important that you work with the right agent and the right lender, just have the right team working for you, because all of this needs to be done in the very beginning. Like you said, do our homework, get everything in order, so that when you're out there searching with your agent, searching for a home, you know what you're getting into. You have all the numbers in front of you, and there aren't going to be any surprises. So
right, and whether you're a buyer or you're a seller, you want to, make sure that you're dealing with an experienced person that is extremely knowledgeable, skilled, and is looking out for your best interest.
Yeah, so I know it's an interesting topic, right? I mean, talking about people why they hesitate on purchasing a home, and I think the fears that a lot of people have are very real. I mean, it's obviously something that they're very fearful, as far as what we've been talking about during this episode that we're talking about. Right now that we're talking, right?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you, because when I tell you what I'm going to tell you, and you're going to say, man, she's old. Because I remember what our first house payment was $130 a month.
Oh, wow.
Remember, I'll be married 53 years, so.
I don't think you can get a car payment at that price right now.
No. A car payment. I remember my first Volkswagen. I think I paid $2,200 for my first car. It was a Volkswagen. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, and that was a lot of money. Just like, that house, those houses were a lot of money.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
Right.
And then when Ed and I first got married, we built our first house. Ed had this lot. So I went to the city of El Monte and I said, I want to build 3 houses on here. And they said, well, how many square feet do you have? And I said, 14,900 and something. He goes, I'm sorry, lady, you have to have 15,000. So it was a weird shaped lot. There was an old house in front. So I told my husband the next year, I go, I'm going to go down to the city and I'm going to tell them there's 15,000 square feet. So I went to the city and I told him I want to build 3 houses. And he goes, how many square feet? I go, 15,000. He goes, oh, perfect. You can build 3 houses on it. So we built the first house in the back for $18,000. And then we built the same floor plan right next to it for $15,000. And then we never did tear down the front house. We ended up selling that. And I bought my lot here in Glendora and we built our house here in Glendora.
Wow.
So, and remember, guys, we're talking $18,000 to build a house then, but that was a lot of money. Okay, you think rates are a lot right now and that payment, but 20 years from now, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a lot of money because eventually prices go up, income goes up, everything goes up, and real estate goes up too.
Yeah.
So
and you'll be very happy
Yeah.
that you purchased
And even
a
if
home.
they dip a little bit. But just like when you think I started in '78, the first house I ever sold was $42,000. Okay, what's the cheapest house today? Almost like, if you can get something to 500 here, you'll be lucky. So you see what I mean? You've had ups and downs in between all these years, but you're up here on value and pricing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, any of you guys out there that are concerned or afraid about maybe getting into, buying a home or anything like that, don't be. Just sit down with the right agent. Hopefully, it's one of us. But if not, just sit down with the right agent, do a buyer's consultation, get all the information as much as possible, and then you can make the best decision for yourself and your family at that time.
That's right.
Yeah.
I always tell the story, I'm one of 11 kids raised in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. But the most important and valuable thing is that my mom and dad owned that house. So there was 13 people in that house. And nobody told us we had to move. Nobody raised our rent. We had stability and we had security. And we had an awesome life growing up.
That's fantastic.
It's all about home ownership.
It's just your passion. You're passionate about this. You really are. Yeah.
Oh, you got me emotional.
You're going to get me emotional.
It's all good. There's nothing like home ownership.
Yeah.
And my family was living proof. 13 people in that house, but we owned it.
Wow. Well, I think that's a great way to
finish it up.
Finish the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you so
It
much.
is, yes.
It's really been enjoyable. It's been great. It's an honor just to sit here and talk to you.
Thank you. Same here. And thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you again for spending your time with Real Talk with Marty and Isait. And we look forward to seeing you again next month.
See you next month. Thank you.